I hate teams so fucking much. It's my half term, shut the fuck up. Definitely not new, but it's like a new discovery for me. That wasn't in the plan, you know. It's like, get your mind out the gutter. It's not even funny. Oh, that is why you don't sit cross-legged. Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Chloe and I am a writer and a musician here on YouTube, and obviously I do a lot of writing and music related content on here. I don't think I've actually done like an actual music video on here in a while, but I like to talk about music a lot actually. Today, as you can tell from the title, today I am doing my very late video of my January and February discoveries this year, in terms of music, by the way. I should have mentioned that, but it's in the title. And if you didn't know, I am very much into my rock music, things like punk music and alternative and indie, things like that. I actually have 3 sections that I'm going to be covering today. First is my band discoveries, and then I've got a new album release that happened in January and February, and then the last section will be song discoveries. And this is actually the first of like this series that I'm doing on here with like music discoveries. So it's going to be January and February, and then the next one will be March and April, and so on throughout the year. But these videos actually take a lot of planning, and then I have to sit down to film them, and then the editing takes so much longer than any other video, which I kind of discovered from doing my songs I discovered last year video. I did a whole video about that, so if you're interested then that will be up in the cards and also linked down below if you would like to check that out. 5 minutes in, I already need a drink. And then one other quick thing that I should mention before I jump into this video is that there were a lot of like song discoveries and band discoveries in Jan and Feb. I'm just gonna get the playlist up because I have a playlist for each of like the bi-monthly discoveries. So for January and February, let's find out how many songs are on this. How do I do that? And so on my Jan and Feb discoveries playlist, there are 68 songs. I am definitely not going to be able to cover and talk about all of these songs, so I have just whittled it down to my absolute favourites, I guess. So let's get straight into it. Section 1, band discoveries. And how many bands do I actually have here? So we have 10 band discoveries, and the first band I discovered was Holding Absence, and this was in January, and I actually discovered them from an Instagram sponsor. You know those sponsors that you get when you go through people's stories and you get sponsors in between them? Basically, most of mine are actually like music and bands and things like that, new stuff, you know, and that is actually one of the ways that I make new discoveries. And let's be clear, that's just one of the ways. And my only favourite song that I kind of discovered in January was Afterlife. I know since then I've listened to a couple of their other songs, but not ones that I listened to in January. And then the second band is Lost Zone, and I discovered them in January, and the reason why I had discovered them in the first place was because the singer, I think his name is Florian or something like that, I don't know if that's how his name is actually supposed to be pronounced, but he basically reached out to me on Instagram, kind of just asking me if, you know, I would like to check them out, and he even sent me a link, I think to a YouTube video or something, and I listened to the song and I loved it. I don't know what it is, but I really like it when bands personally reach out to me. I don't know why, it's just that excitement. You know, they've actually reached out to me because they have seen that I follow things like I Prevail. That was why he had actually reached out to me. He said something like, oh, I've seen that you like I Prevail, you might like our music. And so I listened to them. That was how I discovered them. And the song that they actually kind of sent to me was Blacked Out. I think that was like their newest single at the time. I had listened to it, I absolutely loved it. So naturally, that was one of my favourite songs of theirs, including Colourblind and Shallow Waters. So I have 3 favourite songs by them. They are a really nice band, and they're actually from, I think it was Northern Italy, I think Florian said. I like to discover bands outside of like the UK and America when it comes to like rock bands and, you know, alternative indie, that kind of stuff, because it's just refreshing, I think, to see other bands from different places of the world. And then my third band discovery was actually Lower Than Atlantis. Discovered them in January, and one of the other ways I like to kind of discover new music is through random Spotify playlists. I don't know what playlist I was listening to when I discovered them, but I discovered them through a random Spotify playlist. On the topic of Spotify playlists, how many times can I say that? I am going to leave a link down below to my Jan and Feb discoveries, so you can see all of the music that I actually discovered in those 2 months, and it won't just be confined to like my favourites, just because I feel like that would be quite interesting. And then 2 of my favourite songs by Lower Than Atlantis are I Would and I Don't Want to Be Here Anymore. I think they're more of like their sadder songs, but they're the only 2 songs that I had actually listened to in Jan and Feb. I think now it's April. Fuck, it's April. I'm gonna have to have a listen to some of their other songs, even though I have discovered enough music in this like bi-monthly period of time. I've got like 80 songs already. It's not even the end of April. And then my 4th band that I discovered was The New Shining. Discovered them in February. I actually did a whole reaction video to their album Elephant, so if you would like to see that, that will be up in the cards and down in the description if you would like to check that out. And how I actually discovered them, I already kind of like knew about them, but because I didn't film my album reaction until February, I hadn't listened to them beforehand, so I would kind of count that as a discovery. I think the main thing to say about this is that there were a lot of like Instagram sponsors that I kept seeing, like between feeds and between stories of their song One by One. I guess you could say that that was one of the ways I had discovered them. And then my favourite songs from them, I actually have 3. The first one is Looks Like Rain, then Drown With Me, and I Am Shotgun. They are 3 of my absolute favourites, and don't get me wrong, I loved like a lot of their songs, but they were the ones that like stood out to me the most. And so band number 5 that I discovered was Picturesque, and I discovered them in February from yet again another random Spotify playlist, because I just find that Spotify can be really good for discovering new music. I know a lot of people don't like Spotify because it's hard to discover new music through it, but when you just go into a random playlist and click shuffle play, you can discover a lot of great songs on there. And 2 of my favourite songs by Picturesque are Do Re Mi, which I believe is actually a cover of a song that was originally sung by Black Bear, I want to say. And then my second favourite is Holding Me Down. I don't know if that one is like an original or a cover, but from what I've heard of it, I think it's an original. because I know Do Re Mi is a cover, so I don't know. And then the 6th band that I discovered was actually a band called Solence, who I discovered in February. Yet again, yes, it was another random Spotify playlist. 2 of my favourite songs of theirs are Animal in Me and Legends Never Die. I know Legends Never Die is actually a cover because I have listened to the actual original before, you know, by Against the Current, and I have to admit I do really like that song. And I think her name is Chrissy, the lead singer in Against the Current. The lead singer is just, she has amazing vocals, but I'm not talking about Against the Current, I'm talking about Solence, or I was anyway. But I'm now going to move on to the 7th band that I discovered, which was Too Close to Touch, and I discovered them in February. They were more like a rediscovery because I have listened to them before. I loved their album that came out in, I think it was 2016. That was 5 years ago. 5 years ago. And I think the album was called Haven't Been Myself, and I have listened to that album like in the past and absolutely loved it. So that band is actually a rediscovery for me, and I basically rediscovered it from another random Spotify playlist, yes, because I love them. And the only favourite song, because it was the only song I had listened to, is Pick Me Up. I have since listened to another one of their songs that's also on like I'm So Hard to Love But So Are You, like EPs. There is another song, but I will probably talk about that more when I do my EP reaction to all of them. I'm actually kind of excited about that, I'm not gonna lie. And then the 8th band that I discovered was We Are the Ocean, and I discovered them in January. Jeez, this is out of order. And I discovered them from an Instagram sponsor. I literally have like 3 different ways of discovering new bands. You've got Instagram sponsors, random Spotify playlists, and then just a really random third whatever, you know, because with Lost Zone this thing actually reached out to me, but I'm gonna stop blabbing about that. And I have 3 favourite songs from We Are the Ocean, or the 3 songs that I only listened to in January, and they were Nothing Good Has Happened Yet, The Waiting Room, and The Road. And then the 9th band that I discovered was actually Written by Wolves. I discovered them in February, and I've got it written down that it was a random Spotify playlist that I discovered them from, when actually, yes, that is the case, but they're actually like a rediscovery, so I don't know why I've just got random Spotify playlist there. The only song I really listened to by them was Explode, like during this time. So Explode is like my only favourite song from like during this time period of like Jan and Feb. And then the last band, the 10th band that I discovered in Jan and Feb, or no, I discovered them in January, they were Yumi at 6. I actually have a band merch top of theirs. I think it's like the one that's Make Me Feel Alive, then with like something on the back, like I don't even know what it is. And I discovered Yumi at 6 from an Instagram sponsor, because I think January was actually the time when they had released their new EP album, I don't know, called, I don't know what it was called actually. What was it called? So their recent album was actually called Sucker Punch, and that was why I, you know, had that Instagram sponsor, because that usually happens with new releases. I feel like bands tend to just promote the shit out of their music around a release. I mean, it's a given, isn't it? And I have got 5 favourite songs of theirs. The first is Adrenaline, then Beautiful Way. Third favourite is called What You Doing Right Now, or, you know, the initials of that, WYDRN. Then my 4th favourite was Fast Forward, and the 5th is Danger. Oh, that is why you don't sit cross-legged. And then we move on to the second section, which is the album release. The new album release during this time. The new album release was actually from Normandy. The album came out in February, called Dark and Beautiful Secrets. So I have 6 favourite songs from their new album Dark and Beautiful Secrets, and those 6 favourites are Babylon, Jericho, Mission Control, Atmosphere, Chemicals and Hostage. Oh, the other thing, yes, with Dark and Beautiful Secrets, I actually did a whole album reaction video where I listened to all of the songs pretty much. There were a few that I had already listened to before doing that video, but if you are interested in checking that out, that will be up in the cards or down in the description. It's more likely to be down in the description because I'm more likely to remember to do that than putting videos in the cards. I will try to remember to put things in the cards, but it will be down in the description if not. So you can get a bit more of a detailed kind of like reaction to the songs in the album. And now we can move on to the very last section, the song discoveries, because these didn't make it into like the band discovery section because there just weren't enough like song discoveries from the bands I'm going to mention in this section for me to warrant being in the band discovery section. So that's why I have got this third section of song discoveries where I can talk about all of the other music that I have enjoyed in the first 2 months of this year. And so I don't have when I actually discovered these songs. I just have, you know, the band and the song because they were obviously, you know, discovered in Jan and Feb. So there isn't much point kind of saying when I actually discovered them when you already know when I did, you know. And one thing I have just noticed is that these are in alphabetical order because when I actually planned this video out, I like to have it so all of like the songs that I discover are like grouped together in like the bands instead of just randomly, you know. It was just clearer to see what I'd actually discovered from putting the artists in alphabetical order. The first song I discovered, which kind of goes back to what I was saying before in my band discovery section with a cover of Legends Never Die, the original artists of that song, Against the Current, I discovered a new song by them called That Won't Save Us. I'm not the biggest fan of Against the Current, but they do have some really good music. I just feel like they're a bit more mainstream rock than the other stuff that I've listened to. And then the next song that I discovered, the next 2 songs that I discovered are by Alesti. I think Alesti is actually a DJ. I'm just going to do a bit of a search on this because I don't want to be like spurting out facts that aren't true. Alesti is the project of Norwegian producer and songwriter Stian Alsaka. So it's basically like a project between a Norwegian producer and a songwriter. Oh no, it's the same person. And the 2 songs that I discovered of theirs was Take the Pain Away, which features Rory Rodriguez. I can't speak today. And the second was then called Voices, which featured Loveless. And then the next band / song that I discovered was called Bad Omens, and the song of theirs that I discovered in Jan and Feb was called Kingdom of Cards. And I just remember really liking that song. I can still kind of hear it in my head. The sound's really weird, but you know what I mean. Then the next band I discovered is called The Broken, but it's like BRKN instead of like actual word. And the song I discovered of theirs is called Be Cool. And then the next song I discovered is actually by a band called Citizen Soldier, and the reason why this one isn't in like band discoveries is because I had discovered the band last year. So it's not a band discovery, but it is like a new release / song discovery. And the song that I discovered and loved of theirs was Hallelujah, I'm Not Dead, you know, in brackets, or if you're American, parentheses. A lot of these songs that I'm kind of talking about are songs that I absolutely love. The next song that I discovered is by a band called The Edge of Reason. I'm guessing these are bands. Sometimes you don't know, because I know that sometimes individual artists can have what appear to be band names, or like they're better known as stage names, I guess. And the song that I discovered by The Edge of Reason was Satori, which actually features another artist called Michael Vampire, and that sounds like a stage name. Then from the next band, I actually have 2 songs that I discovered. I'm guessing, yeah, this is like the same thing with what's happened in like my band discoveries, because I have discovered some like covers of songs. I always feel like covers are a really good way to discover new bands, to then listen to then discover like their original songs. So the next band, Fight the Fade, I discovered 2 songs, Cool Kids, which is obviously a cover, and then Devil. I am not sure if Devil is like an original or a cover. This is the thing that I kind of have with bands that I discover, like cover songs. Would you shut the fuck up? Don't mind me. Yes, I'm easily tempered. I'm sorry. Just comes from, you know, rock music, doesn't it? I hate teams so fucking much. It's my half term. Shut the fuck up. Now that that anger is out of the way, let's carry on. And so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more songs to talk about. And so the next band is called Hand Like Houses. The song I discovered of theirs is called Division Symbols, and yeah, obviously I love the song, that's why I'm talking about it. But then the next band, My Chemical Romance, obviously, you know, wasn't like a band discovery, because I have loved My Chemical Romance for a long time. But I discovered a new song of theirs. It wasn't new, definitely not new, but it's like a new discovery for me. But the MCR song that I discovered was You Know What They Do to Guys Like Us in Prison. I love MCR and their ridiculous song titles. Just me. And then the next band on this list is New Vegas. The one thing I'm going to say about this one actually is that I did discover this song actually from like an Instagram sponsor. It's one that keeps coming up still to this day, even though I kind of listened to it already, you know. And that is their song Persona. To be fair, it is a really good song. The drum beats in it, it's sick. I'm never saying that again. And then the next band, ooh, this will be interesting kind of like for the next video like this. But the next band called Slaves, I discovered their song Talk to a Friend. I think I actually discovered this song from a random Spotify playlist again. Even though I shouldn't really be talking about, you know, how I discovered some of these things, because that wasn't in the plan, you know. But Talk to a Friend is like, it's a really good song. I wouldn't be talking about it if I didn't like it, you know. And then the last 2 songs, that's not cool. That is really not cool. And I've probably just offended a bunch of people. But the next 2 songs, so the first one is by a band called Valiant Hearts, and I discovered their song called Dear Astronomer. There's a part of like, I think it's either like the pre-chorus or the bridge, I don't know, but there's a part that goes, I'll think of you, I'll think of you. And when you don't actually listen to it properly, it sounds like I'll finger you. It's like, get your mind out the gutter. It's not even funny, is it? I mean, it might be funny for some people, but that's what it sounded like when I wasn't listening to it properly. I guess that's why it's on the list, because it was just like, whoa, okay. Okay, no, it didn't actually say that. And then the very last song isn't even a rock song, it's just a song that I discovered, yet again, on another random Spotify playlist, but I think they are like an indie band, I think. I'm not sure. Is Why Don't We an indie band? I wouldn't know. But the song of theirs that I discovered, and I discovered their song, Grey. It's a sad song, of course. I'm all here for the rock and emo music. I discovered quite a lot in Jan and Feb, and I feel like I've covered quite a lot of different bands and songs in this, but there are definitely more on the playlist that will be linked down below, the Spotify playlist, if you're interested in seeing more of the songs that I discovered in Jan and Feb. That playlist will definitely be linked down below. I am actually going to end this video here. If you enjoyed it and you would like to see more videos like this, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also make sure to subscribe down below and ding the bell to be notified for every single time I upload. If you have any like song recommendations or band recommendations that you would love for me to listen to, react to, whatever, please let me know down in the comments, because I don't know if you can tell, but I absolutely love discovering new bands and new music. All of my social media links will also be linked down below if you would like to check them out. I'm mainly active on Instagram. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!